If your pool deck already has holes that look like they may have been used for a removable pool fence, this video will explain how to identify if they're usable and how to use them to install a new pool fence. In many cases, you'll be doing what's called a build-on-site installation. This method uses holes that are already in your deck. You will insert new fence poles into each existing hole and then connect the mesh panels to create a complete, safe, and removable pool fence barrier. But let's rewind and start from the beginning by identifying the holes in your deck and checking their spacing. On this deck, there are 1-inch deck sleeves. Grab a tape measure. We'll be checking both the sleeve size and later, the spacing between the sleeves. A 1-inch sleeve will measure 1 full inch across the inside diameter. A peg or pin style fence will have a sleeve that measures 1/2 inch across the inside diameter. Next, you should look for an access gate area. If the old fence was installed with a gate, it more than likely will be near the steps or near the shallow end of the pool. This is an example of what you may see. A series of 4 holes. If it was drilled for a single post gate truss, the inside 2 holes should measure somewhere near 33 inches from center of the hole to the center of the hole, and the outer 2 holes should be spaced 2 1/2 inches apart, also center to center. This spacing will identify that it's a rectangular truss gate. A double post gate truss system will have a series of 3 holes followed by another set of 3 holes. The 2 innermost holes should be spaced approximately 33 inches apart, measured center to center. Each outer hole should be positioned 2 1/2 inches from its adjacent hole, also measured center to center. The outermost hole in each gate system will be the first hole of your mesh pool fence. Count that as hole number 1, and then continue counting the holes until you reach a double hole. That double hole marks what we call a section break and indicates a section of fence. You should see up to 5 or 6 holes in a section, followed by a 2 1/2 inch gap before the next section begins. If your hole spacing measures a consistent 36 inches apart, you're in luck. You can then order our standard 6-pole pre-assembled fence section. If your hole spacing is less than 36 inches, which is what we've encountered on today's job, then you'll need to construct a fence using individual parts, also known as build-on-site. You can order individual components for a build-on-site job in our web store. You will need to order the gate frame, gate truss poles, latch, and hinges separately in your cart. You will also need 1 15-foot roll of mesh for every section and a pole for every open hole except the gate truss holes. If your layout has a 90-degree turn, then be aware of how many holes are at the 90 turn. If there is 1 hole, then you should order a corner post for this hole. A corner post is an 1 1/4 square reinforced pole that is more than capable of holding the tension coming from each side of the turn. If your 90 has 2 holes, then use the standard pool fence pole here. You'll want to watch our YouTube video, How to Install a Pool Fence Corner Post. As a side note, do not install the molding or section screws on the corner post until all the fence sections are complete. The corner post is always the final pole to receive the molding and section screws. If your fence ends at a wall or your home, you'll need to install a wall attachment kit for this. Please watch our video, How to Install a Wall Attachment Kit. To attach each section of fence together, you'll need to order 1 section latch for every section. Better yet, you may want to try our new Quick Lock latch. You may also want to order extra 3/4 inch section screws, just in case you need them. If the existing sleeves in the deck are in good shape, you may want to use them. But if the sleeves need to be replaced, then watch our YouTube video, How to Remove an Old Pool Fence Deck Sleeve. Once the deck sleeves are removed, you'll be able to measure the hole that has been drilled in the deck. If the hole measures 1 1/8 inch, you'll need the classic sleeves. If the hole measures 1 1/4 inch, you'll need the ultra deck sleeves. Now let's review the tools you'll need for this job. You'll need a cordless drill, a Phillips bit for our classic line of fence, or a number 2 square drive for our ultra line of fence, a tape measure, a grease pencil, also known as a China marker. You also need a sharp pair of scissors and or a box cutter for the cuts. Let's walk through the steps on how to construct a build-on-site pool fence. The first step is to place gate trusses in their respective holes and then a section pole in each empty hole. Then remove all the moldings off each pole. Here's a pro tip. You may want to use a Ziploc baggie or a cup to temporarily hold all those loose section screws. And here's another pro tip. Lay a piece of cardboard down for the work that will be done on the ground to keep your poles scratch-free. To attach the mesh to the first pole in the section, lay the pole, the mesh, and the molding on the ground. Center the molding on the side border with a small amount of border just above the molding. Send a section screw through the molding and the top border of the mesh, and then screw it to the top of the pole. Use a medium to light torque setting on the drill to keep it from stripping out the hole. Pre-drill the bottom of the mesh just above the second stitch from the bottom and in the very center of the side border for the bottom hole of the molding. Bow the molding by inserting your foot between the molding and the mesh and pole. Then send a section screw through the pre-drilled hole on the bottom of the mesh. Then remove your foot and push the molding flat, and then send a section screw through the bottom hole. This technique will stretch the mesh and make it look factory fresh. Then, starting in the middle of the pole, centering the molding with the border, send a screw in and work your way to the bottom, and then go back to the top and send screws in, working your way to the middle until all the screws are in. Set the pole with the mesh attached into the first hole in the section. Pull the mesh tight around the next pole in the section, and then using your China marker, mark the border at the middle of the pole. Measure from the middle of the first pole to the mark on your border, and then transfer that measurement to the top border and then mark it. Again, with a little border above the molding, send a section screw through the top border on your mark. Captain Obvious moment here. Be careful not to send a section screw through your fingers. Then screw the molding and the mesh to the pole. Just above the second stitch from the bottom, pre-drill a hole in the border at your mark, and then screw a section screw part of the way into the bottom hole of the molding. Bowl the molding and insert the tip of the screw into the pre-drilled hole. You may need to use your cordless drill to send it through the bottom of the border while bowing the molding. Flatten the molding and then screw the molding and the mesh to the bottom of the pole. At this point, all screws in the molding on the first pole should be already installed. From here on, each additional pole will only receive the top and bottom screw, leaving the middle holes empty. This includes the end pole where the final cut will be made. Continue this process until the mesh has been applied to every section for the entire layout of the fence. The next step is very important. You will attach all fence sections together using a section latch, or better yet, the quick lock latch. Then connect everything that creates tension. This includes gate trusses and any wall or termination points. At this stage, the fence should be under normal operating tension. You should review the cuts video series on our YouTube channel and decide which cut works best for your skill level. The process of doing a cut will involve pulling the mesh evenly tight and inserting all of the section screws into the molding on the end pole. Only after all the screws are in the molding and pole would you cut the remaining leftover mesh. Just as a reminder, cuts should only be done when the fence is fully connected and under full tension. Once all the cuts have been completed, go back and insert the remaining section screws into each molding on every pole in every section. You can now install the latch and hinges to the gate trusses. For step-by-step instructions on the assembly of the gate, please watch our YouTube video, DIY Self-Closing Gate Kit Installation for Pool Fencing, Unboxing, Assembly, and Safety Tips. To wrap it up, if your layout had a 90-degree turn and you used the corner post, you can install the molding and the section screws now. It's always good to periodically check your fence that it is connected at all termination points and section latches, and that the gate is shutting and latching completely unimpeded. This periodic check will help keep your little ones safe and give you peace of mind.